Right. Okay, so Old Lady Gibson was actually not one of the people I had to talk to, because Raul didn't talk. But I think this is one of them.
Any word on Station Charlie?
I think I already told you about that. What do you do, Randy?
Right now, a whole lot of on better days. Look out for yourself.
There we
Hey,
go.
boss. Can I ask you something?
Sure, what's on your mind?
What do you think of guys like Ranger Andy?
Seems like a decent guy.
That wasn't what I meant, really. I mean guys who have a world of experience doing what they do, but have to give it up because they're getting old and slow or too injured.
Even after a crippling injury, a guy like Andy's tougher and more dangerous than most men alive.
Maybe, yeah. I guess you got a point there.
We're not just talking about Ranger Andy, are we?
Not really, boss. No. I grew up in a place called Hidalgo Ranch, just outside Mexico City. It wasn't much, just a bit of a farm, with a house for 3 generations of Tejadas. I wasn't the best behaved kid. I was quick with my hands, with a pistol or a wrench. And I wasn't afraid to get into fights over it. I never killed anybody, but I had my share of run-ins with the police. Mostly my family kept me in line. This was before the war. We were far enough away from Mexico City when the bombs fell that we missed the worst of it. But things got bad quick.
Go on.
Just a few days after Mexico City was vaporized, refugees started pouring down the road to our ranch. We helped who we could, but there were so many. Eventually, my father started turning people away before we ran out of food. Things got violent. My father and I got our guns, and we drove them off.
What happened then?
About 24 men came back in the night after we'd gone to sleep. They set fire to the ranch house and barred the doors from the outside. My whole family was trapped inside. I smelt the smoke, and I got myself and my little sister Rafaela out through a window. But everyone else, my parents, my grandmother, my 2 brothers, and 2 of my sisters, all died.
What happened then?
Rafaela and I ran. We were pursued by some of the men who attacked our home, but I was always a good shot. The ones who came after us, I killed. The rest, I left be. I had to take care of Rafaela, not throw my life away on revenge.
You can't think it was all your fault. No one could stand against a dozen armed men alone.
I know that, boss. That's not what I'm getting at. I'm just getting sentimental in my old age. Anyways, forget it. Just wanted that off my chest.
See, he's a it's a very sad story. Very sad story. Okay, we're on to the next person. Okay. You.
Isn't that bomber a beauty? Thanks so much for making an old man's dreams
Oh, is it in
come
here?
true.
See you later.
Bye.
That's a good thing to see, huh, boss?
What are you talking about?
That loyal guy. He's getting up there in years, but he still finds a way to make himself useful to his people. If you ask me, that's better than withering away all alone or holding on to some faded piece of glory from your past.
Loyal's using his years of knowledge to help his tribe. I think that's a noble goal.
Yeah, that's what I thought too.
What's on your mind?
Old history, boss. After the fire, I knew my sister and I couldn't stay at Hidalgo Ranch anymore. The refugees still wanted me dead. They even put a bounty on me. I remember how scared Rafaela was. I told her if she came with me, we'd see the vaqueros. She used to love the rodeo, especially the trick rider. We figured maybe we could find help in Mexico City. We were young. We didn't know what had happened, really. We didn't understand about the bombs.
Wasn't Mexico City basically annihilated in the Great War?
I don't think it was as hard hit as DC or Bakersfield. but it was bad enough. By the time we got there, the city was a radioactive ruin. Still, the city was full of looters, already forming into the beginnings of raider tribes. Crime was bad before the war, but now it was a nightmare. We were living like scavengers, scraping by on what little food we could find, always looking for medicine for my burns. And then, of course, the radiation started to kick in, turning me into this handsome devil you see before you.
Sounds pretty bad.
You're a poet of understatement, boss. But there were moments it was almost worth it. I still remember finding that novelty costume shop. I was just looking around for something I could slice up to wrap my burns when I saw the vaquero outfit hanging on the rack, like it hadn't been touched. I took it, not like anybody else needed it, you know, and wore it back to our camp. Rafaela laughed, for the first time since the bombs had fallen.
Wasn't it dangerous to be dressed so noticeably?
It was. I started to build up a legend. Sometimes it headed off trouble, but most of the times it just started more. Young punks looking to prove themselves would come looking for me, but my eyes were sharp and my guns were quick. For a while, it seemed like we might even survive there, until Rafaela.
Go on, what happened?
She went out to find some food one day. I was sick, so I stayed at our camp. I guess it must have been the beginning of radiation poisoning. Anyway, it was supposed to be safe, but some raiders happened to pass through where she was scavenging. I won't speak of what they did to her. When I found her body, the only way to recognize her was this funny little scar on her knee from when she was a little girl.
That's terrible, Raul.
Terrible doesn't begin to cover it, boss. I let my whole family down. First the ranch, now Rafaela. I was the last Tejada. I guess maybe I went a little crazy then. I took my guns and went back to that market. I didn't have many bullets, but I had enough. After the raiders were dead, I salvaged what I could from the store. I was tired. I just wanted to be alone forever.
So what did you do?
I left Mexico City behind. I made my way out to the Gulf Coast. Eventually, I found an old Petro Chico refinery nobody had claimed. I stayed there for a little while, and I thought a lot about my life. I thought about the guns I'd lived by, and what they'd gotten me. I decided my guns hadn't gotten me anything, and it was time to give it up. I took off the old vaquero outfit and put on a Petro Chico jumpsuit. The name tag said Miguel, so I started using the name myself. Eventually, I made it to Arizona. That's another story, boss.
He's so sad, all these things happened to him, poor guy. Okay, we gotta head to a couple other, we have to see a couple other people, I think. There you are.
Took some skills to bring down that fiend. You done good.
Yay. Have you seen, oh, I can still ask that. Anything suspicious?
As a matter of fact, it's funny that you'd ask. Got myself a habit of looking around about 1 in the morning.
That's for really...
No trouble at all. Might be nothing.
That's from a
Always
really
a
early quest.
Howdy. What brings you back? Going on.
Why'd you leave? I know I've already done this. That's why I'm skipping through it, and then goodbye.
Got a second to talk, boss?
Sure, what's on your mind?
Meeting Corporal Sterling. Well, it kind of got me thinking. Here's a guy that's been beat all to hell, right? I mean, he could have retired from the service, but instead he signs back on and does what he can. You think he did the right thing?
It's good that he's so devoted to his duty. More people should act that way.
You think so, boss? Because I remember a time when a lot of people stuck to their duty no matter what. It ended with nuclear bombs falling on my hometown.
Yeah. You're talking about the Great War? What do you remember about it?
I left everything when I left Mexico. My home, my family, my name, even my face. I know it's surprising, boss, but I wasn't always just handsome. As far as the world knows, I was Miguel, and I was okay with that. I headed north for a while, and ended up in Tucson. Not Tucson, by the way. Things were good there. Well, maybe not good, but better than Mexico City anyway. I found myself a little shack, started fixing things.
Fixing things?
Oh, sure, boss. I was always good at fixing things. Some I fixed for the town, some I fixed for other people, some I fixed just for the hell of it. It's a better way to use your hands than killing. And even then, I wasn't getting any younger or faster. I lived there for a long time, kept to myself, didn't get into any fights. Hell, the only reason I even kept my guns oiled was professional pride.
Why aren't you still there then?
Getting there, boss. I'd been in Tucson. The locals can call it Tucson all they want, but it's Tucson, damn it. About 75 years when she showed up. Prettiest thing you ever saw, boss. Maybe it was just a trick of my senile brain, but I swear she looked just like my Rafaela. Her name was Claudia. She ended up taking work at one of the brothels in town. I never went to her, of course. How could I? But I looked after her in my own way.
What happened with her?
This was a long time ago, before Caesar's Legion pacified Arizona and brought the raider tribes to heel. A tribe came into Tucson one day. More a gang, really. Dirty Dave and his 6 brothers. They were looking for bullets, and I sold some to them. I figured if I did that, they'd leave town before they tore it up too much.
But they didn't, did they?
No, boss. No, they didn't. As I was saying, I hoped they'd leave the town in peace. Instead, they decided to stop at Claudia's brothel to take the edge off. I don't know which one of them got rowdy first, but by the time I heard the screams and got my guns, it was too late. They shot up the brothel, killed 4 girls, and taken Claudia for their sport.
Did you rescue her?
I went after Dave and his brothers. They had a head start, but they slept nights. I didn't. It took me 3 days to catch up to them. Claudia was dead when I got there. They put a bullet in each of her eyes. I couldn't do anything except avenge her, just like Rafaela. I charged into the middle of their camp and started firing. 2 of them were dead before they knew I was there. The other 5, though, they shot the shit out of me. I would have died, I think, if I wasn't so full of rage.
How do you survive?
By being a meaner old cuss than the rest of them, boss. I wanted to keep living until they weren't. So I just kept shooting until they were all dead. I was in pretty bad shape in the end, though. I don't know how long I laid there, with the sun baking me and the buzzards chomping at me. Eventually, I got the strength to start moving. Some long time after that, I managed to drag my carcass back to town.
What happened then?
When I recovered, more or less anyways, I left Tucson and headed west. I ran into Tabitha at Black Mountain, and well, the rest you know. I swore I was done with the gunslinging life. I was too old, too slow, and too beat up to protect anyone anymore. I thought I was done forever, but after traveling with you, I realized I've always had my doubts.
Doubts? About what?
About whether I still had what it took to carry my pistols proudly, to use them to do what's right. And now that I've been traveling with you for a while, you made me realize that I can still do that. Maybe I'm not as tough as I used to be, but my brains can make up for that. And my hands are still quick enough. It's time to put the guns back on.
So we have a choice here. Obviously, because of the answers I've been giving him, like he's already made a decision. We can force him out of that decision if we want to, but I was trying to push him towards this decision. And so he's basically going to be a better shot. He's going to do more damage, I believe. But there's also another thing. Old Vaquero perk, which increases rate of fire with revolvers and lever action rifles. Now he's dressed up as the old Vaquero. Which I just really like. I think he's really cool like that. So, that's the end of his quest. But we do have one more friend. And unfortunately, I don't think this one is going to be as easily done as the others. This is one that kind of takes... You have to get into combat.
Just putting this out there, boss.
What?
If these super mutants kidnap us and force us to fix toasters for them, it's on you.
These ones are nicer. They got Marcus leading them, so they're nicer. Right. I'm sorry.
Over-elaborate mob schemes to take over Vegas. Reminds me of the days before the war.
Let's see. I think I need to head on without you.
Good call. I mean, if that's what you really want, boss.
I'll meet up at the Lucky 38.
Hey, as long as you're not asking me to go back to Black Mountain, I'm a happy old man.
Okay.
Heavens to Betsy, but Mr. Benny Menanastian. I hope you've realized, Pumpkin, that crime doesn't pay.
I think we should travel together.
Let it be lovely, dearie.
Okay. And there's a train. Now we have Lily. So we now have a very large band of monsters here. No human companions whatsoever. But that's fine, I guess. Where's Marcus? Is Marcus over here? Hi,
I like
Marcus.
how you handled Keene. Without the Nightkin around, Jacobstown would be much weaker than it is. See you.
Anyway, so I think with her particular quest, obviously we gotta chat with her a little bit, but we also need to be in combat with her for a bit. Talk.
My, but that Lucky 38 is a large building. And so fancy.
Questions. What's the best way for me to use your skills?
Isn't that sweet of you to fret about me? Such a good girl. I can always help you stay hidden from the bad people, so you won't get in trouble. I don't mind fighting, especially to protect you, dearie, but I don't like guns. Give me a good chopper, and Leo and I will go right to work. Yeah!
Now something else about you. Who's Leo?
Leo is a very bad man.
I think it's grayed out, so I must have asked this before, but here's a good refresher anyway.
He tells me to do things, terrible things, and sometimes the medicine isn't enough to keep him quiet.
So, he's just a voice you hear in your head.
You shouldn't say things like that where Leo can hear you, dearie. He doesn't like it.
Something else about you. Never mind. Goodbye. Okay, so I think for her it's kind of an unmarked thing, but we need to get into combat where she gets damaged a lot. Which is going to be difficult because I have many friends. So I'm going to have to leave my friends in a place, come back to get them at another point in time, and just have me and her go into combat somewhere. Let her get damaged and then figure it out from there. I think that's what I'm going to have to do with this. Okay, so there's a few things I'm looking for with regards to our friends here. I'm just watching her. Okay, well that went okay, I guess. So at a certain point, she's gonna take medicine, and she's gonna say, I'm taking medicine. That's one thing that has to happen. Another thing that has to happen is her HP has to get depleted or pretty low, and she has to have a psychotic break where she just runs around and kills things. I guess Leo kind of takes over and does that. And then I think we have to rest for a while. And then I think she has to play a recording, a holotape. And then we can ask her about it, and then we can do that. But it's unmarked, so we don't really know when that's going to happen. So I am going to look for that, and I think I might be able to trigger the psychotic break if I shoot her myself. But I'm in a situation where I think I can get into lots of fights around here, and that should be okay. Now, I went here specifically for the ant caves, I think. Oh wow. So I guess that's that. Okay, you... No. I will ask you to wait here, because I do need her to be a bit more damaged. And you also wait here. And I'll go in here, and then we'll have a fight, and if anything happens, then things will happen. Okay, I'm in a situation here, for sure. Unfortunately, Lily is also stealthed. So, that is a problem. Because they're seeing her, and if I unstealth, then they will see me. Okay. I'm just gonna let this happen. Okay, well, that happened.
Leo doesn't like that you left that houseman alive, Gary. He thinks you should have let us chop him.
What happened in that fight back there?
Oh, Pumpkin. Grandma's sorry about that. Sometimes she gets mad and listens to Leo, which you really shouldn't. The medicine is supposed to help with that, but sometimes Grandma doesn't take it.
Why don't you take your medicine?
Sometimes it makes Grandma forget things she doesn't want to forget, Pumpkin.
Okay.
Talk to you soon, dear.
Well, we managed to succeed in that. Uh-oh. 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 Ah, who is... Oh, you're... Yes, I'm sure she does. Okay. Hi. Okay. I think we can leave.
You can't hide from Raul.
So I still need to hear her take her medicine, but we got the other thing out of the way. At least for now.